What's your name? What's your name? Make sure too that you're looking at like here.
I'm getting my voice ready.
So when you think of gender differences, what do you first think about, babe? Like genuinely. Like if I say gender differences to a man, what processes through your mind? Seriously. Just say it. Don't be scared.
I think we're a little more relaxed. Like
what are you trying to say?
Kids running around.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot about the biggest gender difference, babe.
Yeah, right.
Parking and driving. I would have to do a whole nother hour episode to go into that. I'm kidding, but not really. So one of the main reasons why we wanted to talk about gender differences next is because we feel like that in marriage you can get on autopilot and in routine, and along with, I have like notes because this topic is, it's so important to like grasp and to understand. Quoting onto my Bible because I'm like, Lord, speak through me, you know, reach these couples, these singles, the widowed, the divorced, the engaged. Like, we just want to make sure that you receive this message and that, you know, the Lord uses us as vessels to just speak this information to you. So, because it's a big topic of, you don't realize like how different man and woman, male and female are. Like once you truly like acknowledge that, even in an argument, you have more grace for the other person. So, you know, we've gone back, we've looked at research too. We've obviously been in the Bible and reading scripture, but male and female, our brains are actually, they're neurologically, they're different. Like, I know it's funny, what do they say? They say men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Like, it's true. We actually truly do think different. So, I mean, there's so many examples, and Christian and I will share with them, with you, and, you know, we laugh about it, but we understand that on the other side of the screen, there could be someone like crying because you're in the thick of it. You know, you're truly having a really hard disagreement, and, you know, through different disagreements it's built where you guys have a wall up between each other. And so we're hoping this information that we share with you guys really hits home. So, you know, we can get on autopilot, like I was saying. We can think almost to like men and women, like as if we're magnets. So like, you know, one you're attracted to each other and the other one you're compelling. And so when we're on totally, you know, different playing fields, and we're not having grace for one another, or we're not truly stopping and saying, you know what, Christian actually is not thinking like I am, so, you know, let me stop and pause and hear his point of view, vice versa. And I think just understanding. So you'll hear us go through, and, you know, different moments of this video, we'll be sharing some of those differences with you guys, so that one of the biggest differences, a lot of these things Christian and I want to go through together with you guys, but a big thing that is a gender difference between men and women is women, y'all, we have expectations, and our expectations are set pretty high.
There's honey in the rock, water in the stone. Don't know the rest of the words, but it's a really good song. And it's about Jesus.
Get it, babe.
That's all I got.
There's honey in the rock, water in the stone. Manna on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you got. There's honey in the rock. Praying for a miracle, thirsty for the living word. Only you can satisfy. Sweetness at the mercy seat, now I've tasted. It's not hard to see. Only you can satisfy. There's honey in the rock.
you know, you can think to yourself, well, where does that come from? It really does come from our childhood. And obviously I'm not categorizing into everybody into a certain group, but for my friends and family that are watching that already know me, you know how much I love Disney. Well, I grew up watching Disney movies and the fairy tale and the princesses and the princes and the knight in shining armor. And so we can, you know, we go to that like visual of, oh, when I get married, my husband is always going to sweep me off my feet in this white horse. He's my Prince Charming, my knight in shining armor. He's perfect. He has no flaws. And, you know, reality hits and, you know, there's that actual man, you know, behind that, you know, that shining armor. And he has just as many flaws as you do, as I do. And I need to also comprehend and understand that I'm not this perfect princess that he might think that I am. I have, you know, I'm broken, he's broken. You have two broken people. This is essentially, you know, what marriage is you have two broken people coming together and, you know, and doing life together, doing this journey together. And so whether that's like this fairy tale, you know, that your husband's going to sweep you off your feet every day, like, you know, that's not realistic. And you can look at it both ways, right? So if you're wanting your husband to be this knight in shining armor every single day and to sweep you off your feet and to save you, like, are you doing that? Like, you know, like, are you being this princess and, you know, being this perfect little thing all the time? I'm certainly not. So, you know, I can't hold him to a standard that I'm not doing. And I think that's where, you know, God comes into play, and where, like, you know, a lot of people ask me, well, you know, how do you know that there's a God? And it's, you obviously we can't see him, but it's the feeling. Like, when we first got married, I was very impatient, to be honest. A lot of it was my way or the highway. And God had to do a lot of work in me. Like, I had to humble myself down, and I can definitely go back and look at times and be like, you know, I didn't get to where I was today by myself. Like, there's no way.
You had me.
It was all Christian. But, you know, obviously it's the communication that you're having with your partner, but a lot of it was God. Like, it was being in his word, and it was going to church, and it was communication between us two, saying, like, we're better than this. And, you know, where you're at today, you know, you could be in a situation where, you know, you might just need to have a good sit down and heart to heart and be like, hey, like, we're better than this. And there's even times like this, like 3 weeks ago, like, you know, I was like, you know, God put us together for a reason, and we're powerful. We're more powerful together than apart. And, you know, I kind of was just like, I wasn't disappointed in him. I was disappointed in us. Why are you looking like that? All right, girls. All right. So when you think of gender differences, like maybe like your mom and dad, boy and girl, what do you think are some differences between your mom and dad?
You like to think things through. He'll do whatever he wants to.
What the? So, communication in terms of the way we communicate and the amount we communicate.
Why did you emphasize amount?
So, for example, I'll come home at night and she'll like, hey, how was your day? And I'll be like, oh, it was good.
Yeah, like one word. Like, oh, it was good. It's very true.
And reverse the roles. She'll come home and I'll go, hey, you know, how was your day today? And it is a much different response than just good.
Like, as in, like, a lot of information, or?
Tons of information. I mean, I get from
Play-by-play.
From stepping out play-by-play at 7:30 to coming back home at whatever time it is. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I just kind of summarize my day. And most days are really good, so they're just good.
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. So very true. So a big gender difference. And again, when we talk about these gender differences, we're not categorizing everybody into this one group. Like, it might be your husband that loves to talk, and maybe the wife is a little bit more like they're saying good. So like we don't want to be like, hey, it's every wife is like this or every husband. So we just want to preface that too as, you know, we're just, a lot of it's coming from our experiences, and then through research, like what most couples, but what you can do is whatever we're saying, you can always just flip it if your reality is different than what ours is. But a big thing, like he's talking about, like communication. So women, we love to communicate like through our emotions. We like to talk about our emotions. And it's not just like maybe a struggle we're having, but we love to talk about like a celebration and like talk it totally through. And then obviously a struggle, something that we are, you know, if it's a struggle with work or a struggle in your family, we feel better when we have genuinely talked it through. And, you know, again, it might be your husband that feels that way.
Yeah, I think I'm I internalize a little bit. I think process it, and I don't always verbalize everything. I just
Men typically process more like tasking things quicker than emotion. So when you're talking to a man about emotion, his mind doesn't process that as fast as like a task. Like if like, you know, like at work, like, you know, hey, you need to get X, Y, and Z done. Their brain can process that faster versus talking through emotion, where like most women, like we feed off that. Like we like to, you know, if someone's like, tell me how you're feeling, what made, you know, like we're like, oh my gosh, you know, like we love to talk about it. So yeah, that's a good example.
I'm more, you know, just tell me what I need to do. Haha, baby. And then we got these two nuggets over here. They're coloring. Well, there's one. Caroline's out there. And we got this beautiful girl up here who's working on the next episode. What are you working on?
Doing notes about gender differences.
Ah. I'm excited to see your notes about it. Men
get all things wrong. Women are always right.
That sounds about right.
Okay, we are starting our Disney day. We're at Disney Kid Free. We are celebrating our 9th year wedding anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, love you.
Love you.
We're at Magic Kingdom. So we're so excited to just be kids, go on rides, enjoy each other's company. We have a lunch planned at Liberty Tree Tavern. We love this place because it reminds me of my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds us of Granddad.
I know.
He loves all things colonial. He passed away in 2020. But we love him so much. So, anyways, we're excited for a fun day.
Yeah.
It'll be good. We're also excited to do the mountain challenge. So for you guys that are Disney lovers, you guys probably already know this, but there's 3 mountain rides. There is
Thunder Mountain.
Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, and
Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, and
Space Mountain.
And just like that, all I breathe, all I feel, you are all for me. I'm in, and just like that, all I breathe, all I feel, you are all for me. No one can lift me, catch me the way that you do. I'm still falling for you. Brighter than gold, this love shining brighter than gold.
Nobody's screaming. Nobody's yelling. Asking if they can eat.
What do you think?
Saying nobody's yelling.
The mint chocolate chip gives it a good, like. Why'd you pick just vanilla?
You gotta have vanilla to a brownie.
Oh, that's true. Alright. The brownie's good. I'm glad they had no nuts in it. That would have been a game changer.
I thought you liked nuts.
Again, New England style, they got
Not in my brownies.
it's American, but they have lobster rolls.
With gender differences, I think the first step is actually truly acknowledging that, and I'm not saying this to be funny, men seriously think differently than women. Like,
Think what?
actually, that men and women, we don't think the same.
Not even.
Like, we really don't. And so I think when you can understand that, then it's not, I don't know, when I like step back and I'm like, okay, why is he not thinking like I am? It's because he actually genuinely is not thinking like me.
Huh? Yeah, so.
Oh, thank you very much. Let's keep it going, fellas. Come on. That's it.
We are leaving Magic Kingdom. Cue the cheers. But this is a perfect time to come in here and just talk about some differences between the male species and the female species, between male and female. So obviously, God created male and female, or should I say man and woman, on complete purpose and intention. And He also made us very different with intention. We're like about to leave. Well, actually, no, I don't know. I knew that we needed to get back home at a certain time. And so all of a sudden, like, Christian's been cool, calm and collective, like, the whole time we've been here. And all of a sudden, it's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Hurry up. It, like, starts speeding me up. Don't really understand why. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, what's going on? Like, you are all, like, he becomes frantic and all over the place, like, randomly. And I'm like, what is going on? And he's
So
like,
what
we need to get back. However, it would have gone over better if there was what?
What, communicated?
Wait, are we going the right way?
Yeah.
Connection to Epcot? Yeah, that's right. Okay. So if you would have communicated and said, hey, I think we need to leave, start wrapping it up to leave to get back on time, then it would have been a different story. Instead, I'm like, what is wrong? What is going on?
PJ's trip. You got these little rascals in here. Okay. You like the cart? Lacey, do you like the cart? Yep. We're gonna see how long they stay entertained.
Okay. We are headed to church. A big gender difference for women that we crave is we crave security from, yeah, it was at 27 yesterday. My tire pressure thing came on. Yeah, so it hasn't gone down since what it was at. But we crave security, so you'll see that will connect to intimacy, but we want like protection, security from our spouse, and the husband actually can get, as much as we want security, they want kind of like, I guess, words of affirmation. You know, they have a big ego, they want to be this manly man, and sometimes it's not exactly what we say, but it's how we say it can cause your husband to like retract a little bit, and it can be unconscious. Like, they don't even know that they're doing it, but I guess like it's research from even like how a little boy can feel when they're like getting in trouble by their mom. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, like I've disappointed my mom. And so when we're frustrated at our husband and we're yelling at them, and it might not be exactly, because it's so funny because we joke too, like I always say Christian has selective hearing. He'll listen to what he wants to. And so it's not even exactly what we're saying, but it's our tone and how we're saying it.
When I'm with you, when I'm with you, I'm standing with an army. I'm standing with an army. When I'm with you, when I'm with you.
Room of the RV resort doing laundry, and we want to share with you guys on some more gender differences.
That's right.
So I know we talked about a huge gender difference for women is expectations, and a huge gender difference for men is, remember?
No.
You're the man. What do you think? What do you think can get in the way?
I don't know.
What of yours gets in the way of like being able
ego.
to?
Yeah,
Yes.
ego.
Your ego. So men's ego is a big gender difference because they have such like a will to do something a certain way, or like they might have, you have a great example of this, they might have their mind fixed on.
Well, it's hard to not have a big ego when you're always right. So I think that's a big,
But yeah, so like when I think of that, like when we were doing research and looking at that as a gender difference about ego, is there's times where I remember like earlier on in our marriage, you've gotten so much better at this, but he would have a fixed mindset of, I'm just saying something for example, of when he had to mow the lawn. Like it had to be done at a certain time, and if something was getting close to that, or like our plans changed where he would have to push it to like later in the day, it was this whole disruption, so much stress. We would be stressed out at each other, and so it was him like breaking down as in like I would challenge him, be like, okay, let's just stop. Why do you have to mow the lawn at 2 p.m.? Like, what if you mow the lawn at 6 p.m.? Like, what is gonna happen? Like, you know, like the sky's not gonna fall. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but
no, it's and still to this day. I mean, we just talked about I gotta go move our boat from one storage to another tomorrow, and I kind of have this little plan in my head, and then if it changes or whatever, then I get all stressed out. But it has gotten a whole lot better. It used to be very, very fixed. I used to have a very set plan in my head, and that's
yeah. And so what can happen is like when men have that, men or women, like I said, we don't want to categorize too much in each group, but what can happen is when someone has a will to do something whether it's something at a certain time or in a certain way, and the wife or husband is trying to maybe change up those plans, or being like, hey, what if we did it this way, usually it is, but the husband will dig their heels in and almost like become stubborn. Like in our previous episode, the whole $13, 1-3, you guys were making fun of me. But the whole $13 thing is, I thought that he was actually gonna be outside way longer playing with the banner, because I was like, okay, now it's an ego thing. He's gonna be stubborn because he's gonna wanna prove to me that he can do it without paying the $13. Something that we're gonna get into as well, we don't know yet if it's gonna be on the next episode, but it definitely will be one, is love languages. So if you have not, we'd love to hear from you, so tell us in the comments below. But if you have read that book, if you haven't, y'all have to, and I'm sure you can find all different things on Amazon. I mean,
yeah.
you have to find on Amazon, but it's called the 5 love languages. Sorry, I'm like cutting you off. But the 5 love languages. And to not only, I know we're mainly focusing on marriages, but you also can read a book that is the 5 love languages of your children. So that's actually one that we have not read together yet that I really want us to.
Yeah.
But we read the 5 love languages and we found out we know what our love language is ourselves and what our spouse's love language is. So that's really fun to know, because it's going to be I don't know, some of you guys, if it's the same, it'll be actually easier.
I think so too, yeah.
But ours are different, but we're not going to go totally into it because we're going to make that a whole episode.
Oh man, our parents are gonna cringe at this topic. Hopefully. I guess they know we got kids, so. Looking into all gender differences, and my favorite topic with gender differences, I think, is the sex topic. So, as men, we are very easily, I guess it's easy for us to get started, to start thinking about sex with our wives, and for wives it's a little bit different. Our Anna's grandmom and granddad put it very well, and we've also heard a couple other marriage seminars where they've said the same thing, where essentially men are microwaves and women are slow cookers, and we have to be really, really aware of that, I think, because for me, for example, I can just kind of lay down in bed and give a quick little snuggle and ready to go, but not so much for, I think, women in general, but especially Anna. She's a lot she's a slow cooker. She needs, and I think knowing that with these gender differences, it can get hard, right? Because we live a busy life. We got work, we got kids, or some of us got kids, and it's not that it's not like that first wedding night, and when you're not having any kids to think about, you got more time on your hands. As we get older with kids and with work and other things, they a lot of times pile up. So for us men, it's easy. It's you know, we come home and we're microwave. We just put the start button and here we go. And for women, it's not like that. So I think that's it's a balanced act. You have to be realistic. You know, as a woman, you can't expect that you're gonna have a glass of wine, there's gonna be roses on the bed, and it's gonna be an hour chat session. It's just not realistic to have that, you know, on a weekday. And I think that intimacy is so important in relationship and marriages, and that's the way God intended it to be. That's the way He created it. And He wants you, when you're married, He wants you to be intimate, and He wants you to have sex, but you have to do it the right way, and find that mix between being able to, you know, maybe it's not a microwave, maybe it's not a slow cooker, maybe it's an instant pot, you know, somewhere in between. I think that men, you need to romance your partner maybe more than you normally do, and I'm trying to get a lot better at that and not just expect or go right into things. And I think that women probably needs to maybe expect a little different approach from time to time, and that it can't be this this fairy tale all the time, and
money can't buy happiness, but it can buy me a boat. It can buy me a truck to pull it. It can buy me a Yeti 110 house down with some silver bullets. Yeah, and I know what they say, money can't buy everything. Well, maybe so, but it can buy me a boat.
Alrighty, so we got the boat moved. It's always more work than you think it is. We went to BJ's, which was kind of a out of the blue trip. We needed to go, but I was going to go later because we normally don't go with the kids. But I had Lisa and Kenzie, so I brought them with me. And I just filled up on gas, so I'm going to go home and cry and not look at our bank account.
It's a video. It's a video.
Come on, babies.
All right, go follow Daddy.
Oh, let's say thank you.
Squish it. Don't stop. Squish it.
Hey, guess what's today at 3?
At 3?
Game 3.
That was it.
Lightning Rangers.
God made man and woman different on purpose.
Right.
So it's not by accident. It's so on purpose. Like with detail on purpose, and we'll go into that and we'll share scripture with you guys that's in the Bible that relates to that. And so what ends up happening though is because of our differences, and if you're not aware of the differences and why we are different from man and female, is unfortunately a lot of marriages end up in divorces because of this reason, because we're thinking, oh, he's my enemy, he's against me, but actually his differences complement what I miss. So when you can get to that point where, it happens all the time, like that's why you need God. Is it's not easy when we're in a heated argument. It is not easy for me to be like, okay, Christian's not agreeing with me because he is totally different than me because of his gender. Like it's hard, to always have that in mind. But that's why it's so important to have a Christ-centered marriage and to have God at the center, because he does help you have the strength to step outside of yourself and relate to the other person. But I just want to say that male and female are on purpose, and like our differences, they actually should be complementing one another instead of utilizing each other as like we're competing against one another. And that's what happens, is we can fall into that where it becomes like we're competing, like he's my enemy, why is he acting this way, where actually we're supposed to complement one another because of our differences.
Very true, yeah. You gotta work with each other, I think, and not so much compete with each other. I think that there's a tendency to do that I can do it better, or
I'm right.
Or I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're wrong.
And you're wrong. So that's a good point, yeah.
You have to have grace, and not only do you have to have grace, but the reason why we keep going back to God led us here and you want to have a Christ-centered marriage is because it should always come back to you need God. Like there's moments where it's going to be hard. It's like, where do you get that strength from to be able to step outside of yourself and be like, okay, let me, first it's like when you're in that steamed conversation or that steamed argument, pressing, the brake pedal and saying to yourself, okay, where is Christian coming from? And also being like, you know what, let's press the pause button, because, we do think differently. And so let's hear each other out, because your brain's working a different way than my brain is working in this particular situation. And not like in a jokingly manner, like they truly are, man and women do think different. And it's like, where do you get that strength from? You get it from God. Like there are so many moments where I would not have been able to be selfless in certain situations. I'm still working on that today. It's easy to be selfish. It's easy to put yourself first before your spouse. And the strength that you get is from God. It's from the Lord. And that's why it's so important that a marriage is centered around Christ.
Overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love.
I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you give